All right, let's talk about digital money. We use it constantly, right? We swipe, we tap, we transfer funds, but what is it really? And is it the same thing as all this crypto stuff we keep hearing about? Well, we're about to break it all down and demystify the numbers on your screen.
So let's get right to it. The money in your banking app, is that the same as cryptocurrency? I mean, on the surface, they kind of feel the same, don't they? They're both just numbers on a screen. But, and this is the key, underneath it all, they are built on totally different ideas, completely different technologies. And by the end of this, you're going to understand exactly what that difference is, and more importantly, why it matters so much.
Okay, so before we jump into the wild world of crypto, we've got to start with what we know, the familiar stuff. You know, to really get a handle on the new, we first have to be absolutely crystal clear on what we're using every single day.
So, what is digital currency at its heart? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It's just a digital version of the money we already use. You know, dollars, pounds, or euros. It doesn't have a physical form. You can't hold it like a bill or a coin. But when you pay for your coffee by just tapping your phone, or you buy something online with your credit card, yep, that's digital currency in action.
All right, so when you make one of those payments, it feels super simple, right? It's instant, it's direct, but here's the thing. Behind that simple tap, there's this hidden, pretty complex system working in the background. So let's pull back the curtain and see what's really happening when you send your money.
Okay, check this out. Your money doesn't just teleport from your account to your friends. Let's say Nick here wants to send some money over to Arena. That request, it first goes from Nick to his bank. We'll call it Bank X. Then it has to go through a central banking system, and then it finally gets to Arena's bank, Bank Y. The key takeaway here? The banks are the trusted middlemen. They're the central authority that controls and verifies every single step of that process.
So that system works, but it relies completely on those middlemen, right? And some people started thinking, what if that's a problem? What if we could design a system with one major goal, to get rid of the middleman completely?
Now, take a look at the same transaction, but this time with cryptocurrency. It's a lot simpler. Nick sends the currency straight from his digital wallet to Arena's wallet, and that's it. See what's missing? No Bank X, no central bank, no Bank Y. It's a true peer-to-peer exchange. The trust isn't coming from a bank. It's built right into the system itself.
Okay, but hold on a second. If there's no bank, no central institution checking everything, how does that even work? I mean, what's to stop somebody from cheating? Like, what prevents me from spending the same digital coin twice or just making up a payment out of thin air? And that is the million-dollar question. The answer is based on some seriously clever technology.
And that incredible technology is called the blockchain. You've probably heard the term, but what is it? Think of it like a new kind of digital record book. But this isn't just any old ledger. It's one that's designed to be incredibly secure and totally transparent. And this is the engine that powers cryptocurrencies.
So how does this thing actually work? Well, every transaction, or sometimes a whole bunch of them, gets bundled together into what's called a block. Now, inside each block, there are three really important ingredients. You've got the actual transaction data, who sent what to whom. Then you have a unique code called a hash. And finally, and this is crucial, it also contains the hash of the block that came right before it.
Yeah, that fingerprint analogy is just perfect. A hash is this unique code that's generated from the specific data inside that block. And I mean specific. If you change even one tiny little detail of the transaction data, the hash, that block's unique fingerprint, changes completely. It's like a digital DNA signature. Okay, so let's see how the chain actually gets built, step by step. First, a new transaction happens. Simple enough. Then it gets put into a brand new block. That new block is then given its own unique fingerprint, its own hash. But here's the magic link. It also gets stamped with the fingerprint of the block that came immediately before it in the chain.
And when you put it all together, this is what you get. A chain of blocks, all linked together one after the other in perfect chronological order. Each link is cryptographically secured to the one before it. What this creates is a public, shared, and unbroken record of every single transaction that has ever happened. That is the blockchain.
So we get how it's built now. But that unique structure, that's also the secret to why the blockchain is so unbelievably secure.
The way it's designed literally makes it almost impossible to mess with. Let's dig into why.
All right, let's play this out. Let's say a hacker wants to be sneaky. What if they try to go back to an old block in the chain and change a transaction, maybe to give themselves a bunch of money they never had?
Well, the second they try to alter that data, let's say they change send 10 coins to send 1,000 coins. Boom. The block's digital fingerprint, its hash, instantly and completely changes. That original hash, 6AB1, is gone. It's now something totally different, like 8CD4. The original block has been tampered with, and the system knows it. And here is the really beautiful part. Remember how every block holds the fingerprint of the one before it? Well, the next block in the chain is looking for that original 6AB1 fingerprint to stay connected. But our hacker's block doesn't have that anymore, so the link breaks. It sets off this incredible domino effect. Changing just one block immediately invalidates every single block that comes after it, making the fraud stick out like a sore thumb to the entire network.
And if that wasn't enough, there are basically 2 more security guards on duty. First, to even add a new block to the chain, users called miners have to solve a really complex math problem. This is called proof of work. It takes a lot of time and a massive amount of computing power, which makes it practically impossible for a hacker to just create a fake chain of blocks fast enough. You can think of these miners as the police force of the blockchain, constantly working to verify and secure it.
So let's circle back to our original question. Is the money in your bank the same as cryptocurrency? The answer is a clear no. They're fundamentally different. But what's really exciting is that this underlying technology, this blockchain, is so powerful that its potential goes way, way beyond just digital money.
I mean, think about it. Because blockchain is, at its core, a system for creating trust without a middleman, its potential is just massive. You could have smart contracts that automatically release a payment the second a package is delivered. You could track life-saving medicines on the blockchain to guarantee they're authentic and not counterfeit. The possibilities for things like voting, scientific research, even education, we're just scratching the surface.
So at the end of the day, the really big idea to take away is this. Blockchain tech offers a totally new way to record things of value and to establish trust. It's a fundamental shift from relying on centralized institutions like banks to relying on decentralized networks. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. When anyone can create trust without needing a middleman, what problems are we going to solve next?